All right, welcome back to the People's Congress. I am Stephen Walker, and I'm excited to be back with the congressmen and women of your area. You can see all around America, we have representatives representing you as we go through talking about exiting the middle class. And we're going to get introductions out of the way right at the beginning. Let's start out with Adrian.
Hello, world. This is Misunderstood Adrian, the CEO of IMA Industry. We are the climate and culture specialists. We want to come to wherever it is that needs to be, and we want to just put a little light on it, put a little breath in it, give it a little bit of life. I also am an author of the book Surviving Tough Times.
Uh-oh, there we go. Yay, that's your first book.
This is my first.
Pick it up.
What'd you say?
Where can people get it?
Amazon. It looks like Amazon right now. Right now, just Amazon.
Okay, good. No, that's good to know.
All the other places, but right now,
y'all go out there and get Amazon. It. Make her a bestseller. Go out there and get it. All right, Jerome, you got it.
Welcome. I'm Jerome Red, aka Romy Rome, Baltimore Zone with Let's Think, Change, Grow, where we help you to think, to change, and to grow, and maximize your greatness. Hello.
All right, Telly.
Good evening. This is Yamotelli Kwashi, new to the Long Island area, aspiring business owner and pursuing a career in social advocacy.
All right, Tanya.
Hi, I am Tanya Harper from Martinsburg, West Virginia, one of the founders of Agape Hands Outreach, where we connect people with different resources in the community and show a little love to our community.
All right. Mrs. Douglas.
Hi, my name is Saa'dia Douglas. I am representing Hopewell, Virginia. My company, Prosperity Financial Services, we provide tax, we provide business assistance, as well as helping you find financial freedom. So we're here to help you and to answer any questions you may have.
All right, my man, Kevin.
Ladies and gentlemen, all across the globe, welcome. Kevin Vaughan, ladies and gentlemen, CEO and founder of the MLT Global Network. Ladies and gentlemen, you can go to MLTnetworks.net. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen, we are betting on you. The team is the BETT, BETT. That stands for your business, education, training, and technology. Thank you so much.
All right, Marquis.
Yes, this is Marquis Washington from Indianapolis. I am the marketing director for DMW Enterprise, and we create the good stuff, which is a type of sauce that is delicious and nutritious. You will get some on your finger and you will have no choice but to lick it off. That is the good stuff. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegoodstuffsauce.
All right. Thank you so much. And again, I am Stephen Walker, the owner of Tesla, the real owner. I'm letting Elon Musk run it while I'm on vacation. I am the owner of Manifest Media. We are a graphic design, a business consulting company, and a branding company. You can come visit us at mypurposemypower.com. All right, let's get into it, people. And the top of the hour, we're going to actually go to Saa'dia. Saa'dia, you have the lead off story. What do you got?
Yes, so ironically enough, we're going to start off with a good luck story, right? So CEO Dan Price decided that he didn't want his employees to work for him and to have to work at McDonald's to have a living wage. So he raised his employees' pay up to $70,000. Well, of course, you might understand he was censured and even featured on Fox News saying this man is a lunatic of all lunatics. Raising your employees' pay is contrary to every business practice we've heard of. So what actually occurred, he was rewarded. Not only did his employees love what they were, having the money, but he in turn multiplied his business. And so this is definitely a good luck story of how you can be pro-business, pro-employee, and still have a company that it grew to be $10 billion, okay? A $10 billion business.
Wow, that
so
is
employees
amazing.
Matter.
Okay, so he decided to put the money in his employees' pockets instead of keeping it in his own. And it sounds like they don't like that too much. Adrian, what do you think about that?
Well, basically, they were really, 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 really on him. God rest his soul, Rush Limbaugh really just didn't want to give Dan Price any kind of room because it was not heard of that businesses do this. I just thought that it was a great story because actually Mr. Price, like all CEOs should take a page out of Mr. Price's book.
Yes.
Because Mr. Price thought that he was doing all right until he found out that that young lady was working at McDonald's. And of course, there's a lot of different ways that a boss can do whatever they do. You might even get fired because you're working. But if I need to keep my livelihood because I have things in my house that need to be paid and I want to work with you, but you don't give me enough money. Think about how many employees live with the fact that they would live or die for their job. But the truth of the matter is it doesn't sustain them.
So let's take that to the middle of that. Let's take that to the Congress. I mean, that's a real thought. Let's look at that. I mean, we got an owner who's saying that he really cares about his employees and that he's going to change the way he's structuring his company. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? What do you guys think?
I think it's good. He cut his own pay from 1.1 million to 70,000. He grew his business from 3 billion to 10 billion.
Wow. Look at that. Because he gave back. He sold some, those are some huge seeds that he gave. So that's why he got that harvest that he got, right? I mean, how would you like to have a bump in your pay? And how would your prayers increase for the man? I mean, how would your work increase for the man? Think about that. That changed the lives of a lot of people.
That's right. And then guess what? It also gives you that longevity.
Oh,
because you're not going to want to go anywhere. You don't need to go anywhere. It's like it's almost kind of like what we do at the ATS because of the fact of the atmosphere that Antonio has put together. The vibe of it is what people thrive off of, the vibe of it. But one thing that will happen is if the group says something, the next day you'll see it'll be a course or something. Like, so he doesn't leave, you know what I mean? He listens to what people are saying because really you think that you're losing, but he gained so much by just hearing what the woman said. And think about how many employees would just be like, yo, where are you on your way to? I'm going to work. Like, what you mean? What? Like, I rocks with this man. Like, he didn't hook me up.
He cares about me. I mean, it's really about he cares about me.
So why do y'all think that the other business owners and, you know, the rest of the Congress, I do want to hear from you as well, but why do you think the rest of the business owners are upset? Why would Rush Limbaugh say anything? What do you think?
Well, one thing for sure, you know, some employers may be concerned about their employees staying with them. You know, when you see somebody else doing that hiring, okay, I'm out of here, folks. I'm going to go see if I can apply over here to where these folks is giving me some raises here. That's the first thing. Good. But this is a great story, though. Like Adrian mentioned, it's about, you know, taking care of your employees, folks. It's the bottom line. Matter of fact, some companies have a family structure, you know, where you feel like family, you know, your family, and you're going to basically ride or die with that company. And that's what you got to be about. And also, it's so good on so many levels too, guys. I think Adrian kind of hit it. The stress goes down, right, for your employee. They may want to get the work on time. Maybe, how about this? No sick leave. How about this? Maybe more vacation leave so they can enjoy their life as well. But the sick leave and the insurance goes down because people are not using the insurance, you know, all that stuff impacts guys when you are part of a community. So I think that was a brilliant move. And of course, other companies are going to be forced to look at that, and they may lose some great employees too in the process because other companies may do the same thing. It's going to be interesting.
All right. Thank you. So Tanya, what are your thoughts?
I didn't even hear what the story was.
All right.
We had some technical difficulties.
Yes.
That's all right.
I saw you for you, Tanya. So one of the things that we thought, you know, was big. Companies don't want to hear he did this because it scares them. I mean, we have companies right now fighting raising the minimum wage, okay, to 15, a livable wage.
Because it cuts into their profits, right?
It cuts into their profits, and what they don't see that it will improve morale, productivity, efficiency, that they will not have to keep retraining people because they won't be losing people. So attrition would go down.
Yeah.
Retention would go up. So they're afraid of change.
Yeah. Jerome, what are your thoughts?
Well, I haven't read the story myself, but what I thought about as I was listening to the story, one of the television shows that I found that I really like watching when I get some spare time, Undercover Boss. And that's what this
great show.
And so as I listened to the story, he was an owner who didn't know that one of his employees, who he thought was doing just fine, was working at McDonald's, and that reached him. So in some businesses out there, there's a disconnect between the employees and the CEOs. But you got some decent CEOs out there who maybe if they knew more information about what was going on, would try to structure to make things better for their employees. And this particular guy, he went overboard, but look at the harvest. Look at the blessing, because he went overboard. Wow. And that's not his intent. His intent wasn't to make all that extra money. His intent was to look out for his employees. Wouldn't that be a wonderful model for other businesses out here to follow? But sometimes they're so caught up in the capitalism. I got to make the profit. I got to increase. I got to take care of my board. I got to take care of my shareholders. And this guy said, wait a minute, the heart and soul of my company are my employees. Let me make sure I'm taking care of them. Guess what? He took care of them and he made a profit. Isn't that phenomenal?
Yeah, and that's what we got to take a look at is, if they're looking at capitalism and they say we got to look at our profits, look at the whole model, not just that he just made everyone's wages the same, but look at the result of making the wages the same. Mm-hmm. They increased in revenue. So you would think they would look at the whole thing as a case study instead of saying he shouldn't raise. So basically what they were saying is we're not in the short term, Saa'dia, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you will. In the short term, they're saying we're not willing to take a pay cut ourselves. So we're not going to follow his model. Even if we might make more money on the back end, right? So it's going to be really interesting to see how his company continues to grow and other companies just stay stagnant, stay exactly where they are. You make a good point though, Jerome, because they got to please their board and everything. So yeah. All right, Tanya, you have something?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the story, but just by listening to Jerome, if you look out for, each other and the next person and not just about yourself, because that's what it's about, looking out for the next person, then you have nothing to do. You planting that good seed. So you had nothing to do but to expand your business. If you're being greedy about it, then that's what's going to happen. But if you're looking out for that next person, which it sounds like they were doing, if they made everybody's salary the same, if I'm correct, you have nothing else to do but grow. Everybody is like on the same level almost. So everybody's going to do the best that they can in their job. They're going to feel like the artist should feel like they're somebody. But when you really put into your employees, they're going to give you 100% if you're putting in 100%. So they're going to give you back what you put into them. So if
that's good.
Increase their salary, they're going to make sure that they do their best while they're at work. So, and then they're going to
imagine if your salary went from 35,000 to 70,000.
Right.
Yeah. How dramatically will your life change? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, you're exactly right. So we're going to throw it to Marquis now. Marquis, what's going on, man?
Well, I just wanted to add to that because what comes to mind is, not only is that boss is that boss outstanding. That's somebody that's definitely in touch with his employees, and that's basically what we were talking about. But the thing that came to mind is I remember in the not too distant past, the United States, we had talked about shortening the 8-hour day. And we did the comparables to some countries in Europe to where they have a 6-hour day and how the productivity goes up in a 6-hour day. And some of these countries, they'll take a long lunch, like a 2-hour lunch break.
Sure.
And then, and they'll come back to work, recharge, refresh. They have enough time to go run to the bank. You know how we do. It take us 15 minutes just to get out the building, 15 minutes to get there, 15 minutes to stand there, and then 15 minutes to get back, and then another 10 minutes to get back to where we came from. We're late. So when you elongate breaks, when you and then shorten the day, the productivity goes up. I can only wonder if, what would happen if you merged those two? What would happen to that company then?
Right.
Yeah. And actually, there are companies now, because of COVID, that realize by sending people home and allowing them to work from home, productivity has increased, because people have to now prove that they're actually working, and they have to show that they're productive to keep their jobs. Unfortunately, managers are trying to manage that really by multiple meetings every day, and that's kind of draining on the people. But they got to check in to make sure people aren't just, doing what they want, but they're doing their jobs, what they're getting paid for. But it's a great story, Saa'dia. I'm glad you brought that up, because it is an example of what we here at the People's Congress endorse in any state: a business owner taking care of the middle class first. And that's what we're all about. And we'd like to thank ATS and Mexit for giving us the ability to talk to you guys. Antonio T. Smith Jr. We do appreciate all that you guys are doing on the network, and we're happy to be a part of the Mexit. All right, Marquis. So let's talk about it. The next thing on my agenda is the world's top 10 most spoken language.
Well, reading this article about the top 10 most spoken languages, if you all don't know, of course, English is the language, followed by the Chinese, Hindi, Spanish, and Arabic, believe it or not. And the list goes on and on. What I found interesting about the article is that how they compile the data, because the Mandarin Chinese, most of that is spoken in China or around that region. And we're talking about just sheer numbers. We're not necessarily talking about a global a global language situation like English is. And since English is spoken in more countries,
it's the language of business.
It is the language of business. And when you throw that into the mix of politics, especially in this country, when you have people who don't speak the language, and we want them to speak that language. What's frustrating with me is having to deal with somebody who does not speak the language. And I'm upset, not because they don't know how to speak it, it's because I can't speak to them and theirs. So for me, it's all about education at the end of the day. My wife, actually, she used to teach English as a second language to Chinese kids. So it is the language of business. It's the language of money. I run into people who said they didn't speak English, but they're watching CNN. So people can be real funny about the languages, but I found that to be interesting about English is the language of money. Everybody around the world speaks English.
Now, it looks like it's going to be switching, though. It looks like, I'm seeing people, especially in the 1%, beginning to teach their children Mandarin, that their children are now taking those Asian languages, and there's a bunch of different dialects, but they're beginning to teach their children Mandarin. Why do you think that is?
Well, because China's they are next in line, and from the business articles, the United States is about to get leapfrogged by China.
In terms of economic growth.
Yes. And so therefore, the Chinese has a very large footprint. And then, if you've been listening about the downfall of the dollar, of the petrodollar, you have to wonder what's going to come up next. The Chinese are really gaining momentum. They're gaining power over the United States. And so who knows, they may actually one day be the language of choice outside of English.
All right, so you heard it first right here on the People's Congress. We're telling you what's coming, and we're going to see. Only time will tell, but we do know that that's something that's happening all across the world. China has made inroads into Africa. They own a lot of properties here in America. We are in debt to China. So China is in a really good position globally as a superpower to come right behind America and take it over in terms of economic forecasts. I think they're forecasting the next 4 or 5 years to surpass America in terms of total GDP. So that's something that we're going to be watching. We'll be reporting on that. Man, I sound like I know what I'm talking about tonight. I feel good, people. That sounded great. I feel like I was actually reporting like a reporter.
I was gonna say that sounded good to me because
That's
you
all right.
was right up. You were right, because at the end of the day, the question really is, as great as we are right now, if you look at the numbers, like they did give a list of numbers in the article, English is so far away from where Mandarin is. Mandarin is at 918 million.
Okay.
And then English is only 379 million.
Wow.
So then you look at it, but then you say Spanish is 460 million. So in a couple of years, truth be told, as much as we want to hold on to this English language, what if English language is no longer the dominant language?
That's what's
Because
going to
that's
happen.
what it looks like right now.
Yeah,
The only reason why it's dominant right now is because we still believe that we're dominant. We still have a story of dominance somewhere in our, like, you know, the history of our story is the fact that we can speak on the fact that we're dominant.
Well, you know what? The issue comes down to the fact that we used to be the makers and we were the exporters.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're buyers from foreign nations, especially from China. So that means the American money and that's the whole thing about ATS. We like to circulate our money between ourselves, right? That's what is, and we call that what?
Group
economics.
Group economics. But you know what? China said, I'm gonna get a piece of that. I'm gonna get a piece of that, and I'm gonna make them buy from me. So they lowered their prices, they lowered their employees, pay rate, and they let America come over there and build and manufacture in China to sell back to America. And so America was like, fine, we don't need to manufacture anymore. We'll let them manufacture. We'll let them make all the things. So all of the money that used to stay in America now goes overseas to China, which is why their revenue is going up. And American workers are losing jobs and losing all kind of position in the world because America basically gave away everything to China. Now,
but look, if you put the richest countries, they have, like, I'm just looking through more. We are the 5th richest country. So as we thought we were doing good, we're losing to Luxembourg, Switzerland, Ireland, and Norway.
Ain't no way. Look, I love Ireland, but that's hard to believe. I never heard anything come out of Ireland. What are they doing in Ireland to be bigger than America?
Playing football.
Oh yeah, no, ain't no joke. Football is for real. Yeah, rugby is for real over there. All right, Kevin, you got something you want to add to the story?
You know, I was thinking about as we talk about the group economics, I was thinking about 2 areas, guys, because see, as we grow our businesses, right? I'm talking about globally, we're talking about travel and business. I'm just going to pick 2 real quick. Guess what? When we travel across the globe and we want to go to a certain part to build a business, or somebody says, hey, can you come here to help grow your business or our business in our network? Guess what? We're going to have to know some of the language. The second part of that is the business side, right? A business and the travel, because we got to get there, but also the business is going to be affected. Now, I don't know about you guys. There's some serious tools out there now that gives you those translators, electronic translators. I bought one just in case I meet somebody I need to talk to about this business, about my business, about your business. So we have to really think about that from a business model. If we're going to grow globally, we're going to have to be able to do some adjustments in the language, whether it's electronically or learn the language.
Yeah, that's good.
When I'm out,
that reminds me of one time I got in the Uber, and this man, Jose, whatever his name was, he could not speak one drop of English. When I tell you that this young man actually took his phone off of the mount and gave it to me and said, say what you say, like say, speak. He was like, speak. And I'm like, okay, in there. And it literally translated what I was trying to say to him so he could take me where I needed to be. I said, wow. I said, so you really use that app? And he said, I don't know. I don't know. And I'm thinking, damn, he making all this money.
He making it work.
He can't even
do it work.
But he had the link on it. He had the app on his thing, and that was the perfect because I felt very comfortable. Because when it's up,
what language was that? What was that?
It
That sounds
was
like a
whatever the language was that came out that phone. I spoke English, and then they said,
Oh, all right. So it
and he moved
translated.
right up where I needed to go.
There's a
It
lot
was
of
all right.
translators online. There's Google Translate. There's a lot of companies that do that, and that's definitely helpful. And we may even have need for that over here because if things switch pretty fast when it goes to Mandarin, there's a lot of Americans who will not even learn the language. They will die still not knowing the language because it's not an easy language to learn. Number one, but number two, they're not going to take the time to learn it. So you got to get ahead of that thing and just start picking it up. You can go online, you can get tutorials and figure it out. Saa'dia, what do you got?
Well, there's a couple of things I wanted to point out. You know, it's not that Mandarin will be the dominant language in the United States. It's that we will need to know maybe Mandarin and a version of it to do business outside of the United States. So that's the nuance there. It's not that it's going to be number one here. It's just that in order to do business outside of the United States, we would then need it. I
bet you 10 wands that we will have to speak it in America in 20 years. 10 wands, I bet you.
Okay, I don't bet, so I'm risk adverse. I'm gonna have to let you go with that.
All right.
You know what though? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, it's just you can go ahead.
No, all I was saying is that this seems like a great opportunity to take a poll as far as how many people have used that translator app on the phone. I know I have.
Oh, okay. Let's do it. Exit poll. By show of hands, who has used the translation app on the phone or computer? Show of hands.
I'm telling you, the man used it for me. I didn't use it, but it sure came out his phone.
But you know what? It's a good thing that we even know where it's at to begin using it. Go ahead, Saa'dia. You want to finish your point?
Yeah, I also wanted to mention when we were talking about imports and exports, that it's very interesting that the United States is the number one importer, followed by China. But when it comes to exports, China is number one and we're number two. So
that makes sense. Yeah, we would have to be. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know, it's interesting. All the numbers are out for 2019. But when you look at 2020, they're saying America imports and exports. But I think it had a lot to do with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Shutting down the trade line. So.
And readjusting and shifting those dollars to new people. That was a whole, man, that's a whole nother ball game. We won't even get to that. All right, I almost went off on the rabbit trail. All right, middle class, look, we're talking about real issues to empower you and educate you and inspire you to make informed decisions. It looks like Jerome has some. What do you got, Jerome?
I do have a comment about this.
All right.
We've spoken previously about the ATS Business University.
Oh, yeah.
So those of you out there who some of you know about it, some of you do not know about it, there's a marketing arm to that called Ricasa. And at this present time, some of you may not know this, but Antonio T. Smith has already moved that marketing arm outside of America into other countries.
Oh, wait a minute. Is that top secret stuff we're talking about right now?
I'm trying to tell you.
Consumption?
Then that's not top secret. But what I'm going to share with you may or may not be top secret because I had a conversation with him.
Yeah.
You said you had a conversation what?
I had a conversation with him previously. In reference to the marketing arm.
Okay.
And he was saying, Jerome, I'm definitely going to move into China, but not in business. I said, excuse me? He says, not in business, in English. I said, oh, stop. I have a very dear friend of mine who's out of New York, who owns her own business that goes back and forth to China probably 6-7 times a year with her business. And she knows the government people and everything. So when I mentioned that to him, his eyes lit up. Okay. So I'm waiting to hear more about what he's going to be doing with China. So Stephen, I don't know what Saa'dia is thinking about. You are on the track, buddy. I'm telling you. Now,
it's good to have somebody on my side. You know, she is my sister, so you know it's good to have somebody that got my back. She's my older sister, so I got somebody to help me out. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's good to know that we're heading the right direction, but good information, definitely good information we want to go to, let's go to Kevin. Kevin, I hear Warren Buffett is going to help everybody with their stimulus checks.
Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Stephen and everybody on the globe. If you want to listen to anybody, you listen to somebody with some money. And he's a pretty nice guy, I understand, too. I never met him, but I understand he's a pretty good guy. Yeah, Warren Buffett says, do this with your $1,400 stimulus check. I love it. Now, what I'm going to do, guys, I'm just going to talk real quickly about what he recommends. Get right to it so we can have the panel, everybody think about it. So what I did is highlighted after reading it, I highlighted the area and read. Warren Buffett says, whenever any extra money lands on your lap, ladies and gentlemen, your first move should be to pay off your credit card debt. I love it. First thing, though he says the world loves credit cards, it's too costly. The next thing he said, Mr. Warren Buffett talking about what would you do, what you should do, he said, with your $1,400 stimulus check. The billionaire indicated that he understood many Americans were relying on credit cards because of the financial hardship. I think we understand why we use credit cards, right? We know either misuse them or use them properly. Hardship because of the pandemic. At the same time, he said some people should think of their plastic as a piggy bank to raid. As you know, some people think that this money just drops in there automatically, without having to pay them back. And lastly, two more things. If I owe any money at 18%, the first thing I do with any of the money had to be paid off first. That's the first thing he did, is paid it off. Buffett said he told his friend, you can't go through life borrowing money at those rates to be better off. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, Buffett is strongly opposing to carry credit card balances. It just doesn't make sense, he says. He said during the virtual shareholders meeting, he mentioned this. And lastly here, but he doesn't feel that not all the way about that, of course, but he wouldn't advise you to put your $1,400 payment toward your mortgage either. So he recommends to be very, very smart with that powerful area.
Wow, that is a shock to hear him say that. But let's take it to the Congress. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was surprised that he said don't put it to your mortgage. Yeah. I would have thought that you would be able to take that money and put it down on the principal, or at least to work on that angle. That was surprising to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a reason why. And the biggest reason is that your mortgage interest is a deduction. So even he paid with his second home, he got a mortgage on it. It would be better than to have it an all equity transaction that wouldn't benefit him. So a lot of times they look for ways to counter their gains, the ordinary income increases, with deductions to lower the amount of taxes they pay.
All right, we're going to stop it right here, middle class. We're going to take a little second and we're going to bring it on down to a whole new level, because that was a lot that you just said. Now let's talk to us as if we don't know what you know, because if you own a company, you own a financial company, right? So you're talking about equity and gains. Let's say what you said again, but simplify.
Okay, to simplify it, it is better to buy a home and have a loan, so that when you make your money at work and you have to pay your taxes, that the interest you pay towards your loan counters the amount of tax you have to pay the government. It reduces.
So if you paid in cash, you would have no benefit. Gotcha. Okay, there we go, middle class. That's how we do it. We don't want to talk over your head. We want to talk directly to you and bring.
So one thing he would tell you to do is to pay off those things that do not affect your taxes, like your credit card debt. Nowhere do you get a write-off on your credit card debt. It actually takes your money. You will never make money owing credit cards, right?
So then applying it to a school loan, those kind of things is like, no, don't use that money for that.
You can write off the interest on your school loans as well. However, school loans have a tendency to follow you till death. So at some point you want to pay it off. School loans were designed to be paid off in 10 years. When you graduate from school, they determine how much you have to pay a month by looking at how much can you pay off evenly over the next 10 years. Because there's a rule that says after you've paid 10 years without being late on a payment, that the rest is waived. So
All
that's
right.
why they make it so you pay it off in 10 years.
Gotcha.
That's
Okay.
crazy.
Okay.
It's waived. You know how many people don't know how to pay their student loans on time for at least 10 years so that it could be waived? They'll mess up in 5 and then have to pay the whole thing forever.
You know,
Wow, you
honestly,
just did something there. You
but
just said a
Adrian,
lot
I did the
there.
same thing. When I had twins, I couldn't afford to pay $1,000 a month
Ooh.
for my student loans. I was paying anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 for a nanny a month.
Wow.
So my
I'd have
student
watched it
loans
for
were
half
on
of that.
hold. I'm
You could
sorry,
drop
what
your
did you
kids off
say?
at my house, and I would have did that for half, $750. I'd have watched the kids for you.
Steve,
Yeah.
oh,
So the point was that there are a lot of things, you know, when we start getting married, having children, you know, it makes it so we can't afford to pay for those student loans the way we thought we would. And so, you know, having children, you know, cost you, people don't realize it, but you end up paying about $600,000 over the course of that child's life to have a child.
Oh, they owe me some money. I'm glad you told me that. I'm making some phone calls after this meeting.
Your son's going to be a surgeon. He can pay it back.
Oh, and I'm gonna get every penny.
I hope so.
Hey, Kevin. So when you read through those stories, what stood out to you?
Well, I guess in this particular one, you know, I was concerned about the middle class, right? Which I'm in, you're in as well. I'm saying, okay, what do I do with a credit card? Then how do I properly manage a credit card? Because I know I'm going to have to at least one. Matter of fact, they recommend you have at least 1 or 2 credit cards, but manage them well. So we have what stood out to me, which he didn't mention in this article, is that there's nothing wrong with the credit cards, but you got to be able to handle them every month properly, so your credit is properly maintained and so forth. That's the difference.
I think we might have lost
credit card before they pay the other one back. You know, they keep getting in that cycle. So we have to be very smart about getting into the cycle the wrong way. Nothing wrong with the credit cards. It's just it has to be used properly. So what I didn't get out of there is that how do I best use the credit card if I do need it?
Well, he did explain something about credit cards. He said that if your credit card is at 18%, then you definitely want to pay that off.
Right.
That you do not, there are other cards at lower rates. And if you don't qualify for them, pay off your highest rate, you know, credit cards. What if that $1,400 isn't enough to pay off a credit card or lower the balance? Pay it towards the highest interest rate.
Absolutely.
Balance.
Absolutely. Yeah, because what we're talking about is managing the money. You know, nothing wrong with none of the things we have. It's just about the mindset of managing that. And that's what we'll make sure that everybody gets is how make sure if you're going to get the credit card, I don't care if it's 26%, make sure you understand it. That's all I'm saying. Make sure you understand what you're getting. Yeah, and that you can manage it well. If it's 18, 20%, you know, 30%, please get smart. We got to get smarter about our money. That's all I'm saying. And not put ourselves in the stress areas where we can't move forward.
I want to go to Tanya and get her take on this. Tanya, what is your take?
When I read the article, I knew about the credit cards, you know, paying them down and so forth. But when I got to the point about the mortgage, I had to read that a couple of times. When he said, "Don't pay the mortgage," I said, "Well, why not?" So then, you know, I read into it a little bit more, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And then his suggestion about, you know, him keeping the paying out the mortgage, even though he had the money to pay off the whole house. He still got the mortgage out and paid the whole 30 years. And the money that he would have used to pay off the whole mortgage, he took that and invested in an investment, which was I think right back into his own companies that he has. So looking into investing and, you know, with the money that we, you know, the $1,400, how to invest, I did click on the link and it took me to the Acorn site. And I think that's one of the sites that you can bump up. Like when you purchase something, you can round it up to the highest, the higher dollar and take that money and put it into an account so you can invest in stocks and stuff.
I signed up for it today.
I
signed up for Acorn today.
Oh, did you? That's the app it gave. When I clicked on the site on the it took me straight to the Acorn site and I was looking it up And I was thinking about signing up myself. Yeah.
You should.
All right. That's all right. Make sure you do talk to your CPA and make sure that's a good idea in your current state. But we do want the middle class to get into investing. And if you want to learn more about how to invest your money, you want to go to ATS, the School of Business. And I think that that could help you out a lot. We definitely want to get you involved in the MEXIT, which is the middle class exit. Saa'dia, do you have something else? It looks like you have.
Yes. So, we're talking about the middle class and how we can exit the middle class, and debt holds us in the middle class. So one thing that, we should have as a goal, each and every one of us, is to pay off our credit cards to the point that every month, whatever we charge on them, we pay it off that same month so that we never pay interest on it. But it improves our credit score. So I automatically use my card that gives me 5% cash back to pay for things. And my husband is like, oh, here, check the debit card. I'm like, oh, no, honey. Put that hotel on this card. Because we have the money, we're going to pay it, but it's a way for them, one, to give me money back, and two, I pay it off at the end of the period, and so I never pay interest on it. I call it OPM, other people's money. Short-term loans, 30-day loans, is other people's money. People get caught in the trap only because they can't pay them back. And then they say, you owe $1,000, just give me 50. Because that's your minimum payment. That means that you will live and die for those.
Yeah, we don't want to play those games. Yeah,
No.
We don't want to play those games at all. All right, so we're going to move on now. We're going to go to Adrian. Adrian, now I hear the U.S. Secretary is expected to impose some fair amount regulations on cryptocurrency. What's going on with that?
They had to. What's going on is so great because, as we all know, crypto is the new thing. Bitcoin, Dogecoin, whatever you want, Dogecoin, all of these are currencies. Harvey Pitt is the ex-CEO. He used to be, but he's the one that's saying, y'all keep watching and keep waiting because they're about to put some regulations on what's going on with this cryptocurrency. Because the new man, Gary Gensler, he is the man that knows, one, he's got experience with the crypto. He knows about the Coinbase. Like, he's the one that actually started this Coinbase. And now, as NASDAQ and all of the other different cryptocurrencies are now available, they're telling you that you can expect that the fair amount of regulations of cryptocurrency is going to have some rules on, because right now it's unclear. And we here at Mexit, we even know that it's unclear. We just know that it's a piece of something that we want to part of. The reason why is because we see that this is where it's at. Coinbase, we've been on this now because they see us all getting in it. They done put some regulations on it real quick. That's what I looked at it and said. I said, wait a minute, why are they regulating now? Because everybody hearing about it, they telling everybody in the middle class to get involved. Now they're going to put regulations on it. They gonna try to make sure we stay in the middle class. Y'all better go on with yourselves now. Go on, get this stuff. You have to break down doors and kick these things open for yourself. Because even to see it, I'm like, wow, we've been talking about crypto all week. Now all of a sudden they gonna put a fair on it. Now they want to put a fair on it. Why? Because I'm about to put my money in. Okay, so shit. Hurry up, y'all. Hurry up. Because you
got to get in, and not only do you got to get in, you got to get educated. As we've been saying, if you've been watching us, we've been telling you. You got to go to ATS. You got to get involved with ATS, the School of Business, and learn what cryptocurrency is and how to get involved. This is the only way that you and your family are going to survive in the future. If you're not paying attention, you will get passed by. Yes. And it'll be too late. So get in and get involved right now. So let's talk about it. What about these regulations, guys? What do y'all think? Is that a good idea? And why do you think the government's doing that now?
Hey, Stephen, from a business standpoint, it kind of makes sense. I'll just take the upper top 10% of the planet of wealthy people. When they see that wealth starting to shift, they're going to be calling the congressman. They're going to be calling their buddies, say, hey, wait a minute. We just lost $20 billion last year. What y'all can do about that, big boy? We on the golf course right now. Let's change that. And they're going to try to say, well, what we can do, maybe we can make some laws to get you back in the game. So, yeah, that's just a business move. It's understandable. Not necessarily agree with it, but it's just a business move to help protect what they have.
You know, I was thinking about something with this shift that's coming, and it's unstoppable because it's a wave. And I believe that there's about to be a huge jump in technology, which is going to help them lose control, actually, because they won't be. I mean, when you look at companies like Google and Amazon and Tesla, they couldn't stop them. They just couldn't stop them. Why? Because the people gravitated so fast towards them that money poured through their doors. So they couldn't even make laws fast enough. So I think that's going to happen. But something dawned on me the other day about this shift in power is that a lot of it is based on the internet. And, you know, no one owns the internet. It just like everything on the planet is owned. But the internet, there's no, at least not that we know of, that there's a company that owns the internet. So with all of these things, these transactions that are happening and all of it being internet based, I really wonder if they're going to begin to start regulating the internet itself. You know, this might be a sign that, you know, they're trying to get their hands in other people's pockets by saying they're going to regulate a company, but really what they're regulating is internet transactions.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
Come on.
What about data? I mean, isn't that a part of data already, where they can regulate how fast your data stream is? Like right now on my phone, I have no data. And that's problematic. It's like if you use a little too much, we're gonna slow your butt down.
Yeah.
So I guess they could use it using something on the same grounds as how much data you use.
All right, so let me drop this on you. You guys might not know this. You might know this. So Tesla, all right, not the car, the man, Tesla. Tesla actually did experiments where he realized that you could send electricity through the air. You didn't have to have wires connected to, you know, substations and, you know, and monitor it and charge people for you to use the substations. He was going to send free electricity through the air to people because the earth itself has electrical current running through it. And so he was going to do that. And they shut that down. And so if you think about it, there's ways to get alternate energy and there's ways to have communication where you don't need the things that are being regulated to make it happen. And I think they're going to force people to do that. When you start to limit what they're used to, they will find a way to do it without you, right? And so that's what's happening. And that's why I think that technology is going to jump, because they may try to put the squeeze on so hard that people will find ways that are not, that they can't monitor and they can't stop. For example, perpetual engines. Like, they never want a perpetual engine. Why? Because it only takes a little bit of currency and energy to get it started, and then it keeps its own energy. So they outlaw perpetual engines because there's no way to sell fuel or electricity to someone that doesn't need it anymore, right? So every time someone was creating a perpetual engine, and I'm talking about from kids coming up with the idea of making it to adults, FBI, CIA would go in and take their stuff and stop them and the whole nine. So, but the people are the ones who are the innovators, right? So let's talk about that. Do you think the people will be able to work around this if that becomes an issue?
So one thing I thought I would add is that, you know, a lot of people don't understand, or maybe they're not aware that the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency started out on the dark net, okay? It was not on the internet. And so it has been there for years as a way of currency. And the government actually, we would always have the FBI come in and talk to the group that I was a president of. And they would tell us about their sting and task force that they were trying to shut down parts of the dark net by stopping cryptocurrency, stopping, you know, people were buying children, buying whatever they wanted using this form of money. And so once they couldn't stop it, now they're trying to control it. Okay. Same thing, you know, so what they're doing is taxing it. Oh, we're going to make it so it's not now it's going to be on the S&P 500. It's going to be on the stock exchange, and your profits will be taxed.
So they said, we can't stop you. We're going to tax you so we can get some of that money.
Yeah, because it wasn't taxed. It was free money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Saa'dia, because that's exactly right. Yep.
As long as it stayed on the dark net, it was free money.
Yep.
You see now, look at that. Look, middle class, look at this. Look at this.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that everything dark, the government attacks?
Shut
If
up.
it was on the white web, they
Shut
wouldn't have tested. Let me stop.
Shut
All
up.
right. So it
Serious
was on the dark web,
about
and then it surfaced. And then the people got a hold of it, and then they started making money. Now they're like, okay, too many people are making money in the middle class. We're gonna have to regulate and slow this growth down. Is what it is.
of course. Because
The
we have to
dark
be
net is
able
a
to
place.
keep a handle on who we are. We cannot be when we start to breathe and we start to become independent on who we want to be, then we won't no longer have that middle class. You heard the other day that the world revolves around the middle class. So if people decide that they no longer want to be in that middle class, now they have to figure out how to continue to make you in the middle class. So that is why even in the crypto, that what they did is they saying you want it, it's going to be a regulation. It's not a problem.
It wasn't
just like everything else in this
something that was held. But see, Adrian, the crypto and the darknet, it was not minorities making money there. Just so you realize, that was not a minority market.
Yeah,
that's why they brought it over. That's why they brought it over into the dark. The
darknet was not where minorities were. They were making a lot of money, but it just wasn't the top 1% making the money. It was innovators and people who took advantage of the system making money.
Yeah, it was
made them think that the black people know about it. And because of the fact that somebody done told the black folk that they can get in on this game that's been playing for a long ass time, they are now like, whoa, wait a minute. How did they tell? Who told?
Who told?
Like, we were fine.
Snitches get stitches.
But
told?
We just listen.
But you know what? In the middle class, it's not just black though. It's Hispanic, it's white, it's the middle class.
All of us. It's every middle person. And remember, it was from 80,000. What is it? 50,000 to 500,000.
Wow. Yep. You remember that?
What it said? 50,000 to 500,000 is called.
Is the middle class. If you're making between 50,000 and 500,000, you're in the middle class.
I am missing a few zeros.
Hey, also too, guys, we got.
Vicky was like, "Hey, I need a zero."
We've got to mention this to the middle class. We got to mention this to the audience. The dark web is not in our best interest. You understand that? Things that were happening on the dark web are not what I call human stuff to do. So we got to be careful of that. But let people know that the dark web is not really set up for the good people, if you will. I'll just say that out there because don't get it confused, folks. Don't go on the dark web and start searching for crypto. Do not do that. No. You don't want to do that. Don't start. Matter of fact, don't search for anything for that matter.
I was going to say, who determines whether the web is light or dark?
No, the dark web is where people with subservient, people with abnormal appetites for. I kind of don't want to talk about it, but
we probably need to move on from this because we're saying that term.
What are you talking about?
You don't want to bring that up.
I'm completely lost. Y'all,
yeah, it's something we don't even need to know about. We're talking about it after the show. Let's do that. And I want to go ahead and move on to Telly. Telly, the 5 budget smartphones under $55,000.
Oh, this is good for anyone who doesn't want to pay an arm and a leg for a phone. So
I'm listening.
So LG decided to put their hat in the ring to have a budget phone. So that would be LG, Apple, Google, Samsung, and OnePlus, which I'm not necessarily familiar with, and Motorola. So you have 5 to choose from, anywhere from $199 to $499, which is pretty awesome because not everyone in America wants to go in debt to buy a phone. It's not necessary. There are a lot of people who are more practical and don't need the technical aspect of having 1,000 apps, a battery life that can last for 12 hours. It's just for the bare necessities. So if you are looking for a phone on under 200, you can go with Motorola, or for something a little fancier but still budget friendly, you can go with Samsung. And my personal opinion, I know I'm a millennial, but based on the specs, I think the Samsung model would probably be best because you still get a bit of a techie feel, but it's $500 as opposed to $1,300.
You know, it's interesting you say 500 because I think my phone is $1,100 and I have Samsung. So they must mean they're lower version Samsung.
Yes, they are. Like the display, will probably not be as crisp. So it's probably not going to have the same type of resolution, but you still get, with the Samsung model, I believe you get the fingerprint reader. It's 5G capable, which we know 5G is up and coming. I mean, it's here.
It's here.
So that it's good that they're offering that on a lower scale, because you would think that with 5G, it's the new thing. It would only be available for the high expensive phones. Like I have an 11 Pro Max, and every day I wonder why I paid $1,200 for the phone. I mean, it's a great phone, but it's really expensive. And especially since we're speaking about the middle class and putting our money and investing our money in things that will give residual return, a phone, unless your business requires it, is not a necessity where you need to spend in upwards of $11, $12, $13, $1,400.
Now let's talk about this. Let's talk about this, Congress, because when it comes to cell phones, this is an issue we've been dealing with for the last probably 10 years on the price increases on these phones now. So your phone basically costs the same amount of a laptop if you get one of the top phones.
Yes.
And it's true, it functions kind of the same as a laptop with a lot of the programs that you get in there. But are we really, as Americans, probably just people in the world, have we lost it somehow when it comes to allowing companies to do us like that?
I think so too, Adrian. On top of that, matter of fact, I did the same thing. I didn't do the research. I do research now, but I didn't do the research on the phone a couple phones back, and I could have found out I could have saved $300. For example. So all I'm saying is just do the homework, because there's phones what they call pre-owned, right? Pre-owned one-timers. They return them in, get another discount. So in addition to what Telly was telling us, ladies, you can also check out the pre-used phones. That'll save you another $100 possibly so as well. But it depends on your features, right? What you want to get. So we got to just be smarter. That's all. Do your research. It takes maybe another half hour. Do some research and then make your decision.
So let's take a poll. How many of you guys feel you're paying too much? You pay too much for your phone? Show of hands. You pay too much for your phones. All right. So the rest of you guys are rich. I just wanted to see who was really rich on the Congress. All right. All right. So we have an issue that's affecting the middle class because, the cost of these phones and the amount of people in their families, and everybody's got to have a phone. You multiply that phone times that amount, plus the fact that having all the services that comes with it and apps, that's taking a big chunk of the middle class. So I think that's something that you guys got to talk about. Let's talk about it. How's that affecting households across America?
I pay $400 a month for 4 of us. So 400 a month is $386 for us to have phones, 2 iPhones and 2 Samsungs, unlimited plans, with of course
family
insurance. Pardon?
Is the family plan?
Family plan. But see, one of the things that is important to recognize that there are some families that that we heavily use our phones. Okay. So me and my children heavily use our phone. My husband, he could go back to a flip phone and never have a problem as long as he can take good pictures. He likes to search the internet. He has a couple tablets for that. But we have become reliable on our phones. We are relying on them.
Yeah.
Because they do so much for us. Even us, even the People's Congress, we're able to schedule our stories, our scripts, using our phones, using Google Docs. Okay, so even we use it.
So let me tell you what's happening, middle class. Let me give you a peek into the matrix. This is what's happening. This is what happens. All right, check this out. As technology increases, you lose your power. As technology increases, you become more dependent on the technology. Check this out.
It's too late.
As technology increases, you actually get dumber. What?
Did you see that movie?
Technology? Look, before
Did
cell
you see
phones,
that movie about the robot?
we actually remembered numbers. Back in the day, you remember people's phone numbers. You knew the numbers. Now you don't even remember your own phone number. You got to look at the phone and get the phone number. You know what I'm saying?
It took me 2 years to memorize my husband's number.
See, so it's the technology is invasive. It's like a virus. It's hooked into us to the point where I've literally, and I don't know if you guys have done it, left the house, drove away, and remembered I left my cell phone and turned all the way around, came all the way back home, right? That tells you something. So Think about this. Before cell phones, what did we do? We used our house phone. We waited until we saw the person, right? We wrote down notes, right? We survived without the technology, but I think now we feel like we can.
Well, I think one issue,
because I don't do technology.
We noticed that.
I'm an avid Will Smith. I'm the avid Will Smith in iRobot. I am.
Okay.
I want to hold strong on it because I still say no matter what, a human will always be better.
Yeah.
Because if there's a malfunction, you're messed up. If the power goes out, you're messed up. If the numbers are put in the system wrong, the outcome is messed up. You cannot pinpoint where you messed up in the computer. Like with the calculator, you start computing stuff and putting it in, but you got the wrong answer. You can't even look at what you did in your work and go back to where you had the problem. So now you have to start all over. I'm telling you, we love technology until it backfires on us.
Oh yeah, and because you don't know how it works, you're in trouble. Right.
Look, everyone has a chip on their phone, on their card. But God forbid the system goes down on the chip. The store has to shut down because they can't get money anymore because they need the chip reader to do whatever they need to do. So then you say, well, wow, you put your whole business on this chip reader?
Yeah, so y'all don't take cash
chip
anymore?
reader can't work. So now you can't done business? And they're like, well, I don't understand. Yeah, Advent. Always take a pencil. Always take a person. Always take a thought. Because you know what? A computer is not going to return your refund because your milk was sour.
Oh no. You got to have a human element in
that. The computer is not giving you back your milk money because you bought rotten milk. Take it in there and give it to a person. I bet you they're gonna return your milk. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna give you your money. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. We didn't mean to smell that. That is horrible. The computer don't even know any of that. It's like we're taking people out of people. The more technology, the less people we have to be.
And that's going to hurt the middle class anymore. That's going to hurt the middle class even more because that technology is definitely not going to consider the condition and the state of the people in situations like that. Saa'dia, you had something.
I was going to say that, you know, a little bit ago, we were talking about our reliance and dependence on technology. And, you know, our generation, if you think about it, we are tied to our cell phone number. Okay. The millennials are not. They will change their number, go on their social media, tell their friends what their numbers are. But they use other ways of communicating instead of calling. They don't even want to call you.
True.
They'd rather FaceTime you, Snapchat you. So they're not tied to their phone number like we are.
So yeah, it's shifting in terms of what the youth are using. Tanya, did you have something on this?
Well, I was just saying that's so true because just being around my nieces and nephews, they barely use the phone, but they're always Snapchatting, TikToking, doing everything else but talking on the phone. So they rather text and do all the other stuff instead of having that one-on-one, pick up the phone, call mom. They rather text mom or text auntie instead of picking up the phone and dialing that number. But they'll send a text real quick though.
Yeah, they rather video chat. They don't want to call. I've seen my daughter literally video chat for 6 hours.
Wow.
Just leave it open, have it in the room, and the girls from her dorm have theirs up, and they all are together just doing whatever they're doing.
It's ridiculous.
I'm like, what you doing? She was like, we just hanging out. I'm like, hanging out? But that's what they do now with technology. It's not about phone calls. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Look, if you're watching, you're just tuning in. We are the People's Congress, and we are excited that you have joined us tonight. We are talking about the issues that matter to you and your family. We want to educate you. We have some very powerful minds in the room. The Congress is in session, and we are talking about everything we can to help your families get advanced. We want you to look at Mexit and join ATS and join us because for us, we want to empower the middle class with education. That's what we're all about. And we want to talk about the president of the United States. Hey, Jerome, tell me, Biden is doing something with $10 billion. What are you buying, a cruise ship or what is a new home?
No, he's not. And what I think is interesting about what the president is doing is in our stimulus package, and some of us may not be aware, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. Within the stimulus package, so some of us are so focused on getting our $1,400 that we don't know that President Biden has put $10 billion in that same stimulus package for our mortgages, but not just the mortgage itself, folks. He's also included paying off your taxes, your utilities, insurance, and homeowners association dues. And I said, we need to look at, and maybe this is the reason why Warren Buffett was saying, don't pay off your mortgage, because there's $10 billion in the stimulus package that you could be using to pay that off and spend your $1,400 somewhere else. Yeah, I mean, I don't know because I'm not Warren Buffett, but that's what went through my mind when it was. And
yeah,
I thought
that got me wondering.
I have a mortgage and I'm in forbearance, and you better believe me, I'm going to download this legislation, and I'm going to find everything about the mortgage portion because I want to get mine.
So is that a real thing? I mean, you guys think that that's real? You think they're really setting this up for the American people?
No.
Yes.
But what it says is that they're going to take this $10 billion and give it to like banks and those who administer the mortgages to manage it. So it ain't just going to be, oh yeah, you can come take it, you can get it. So you're going to have certain criteria.
No. Wait, back up. What you just said, because that didn't even sound right. You said that they going to give me money, but they going to give it to the bank for me on my behalf.
Exactly.
No.
They're giving it to the state.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you. Where's Miss Maxine? Because see, that's what they be talking about. They try to throw a story in you, try to make you feel good because they're talking about they're giving you money. But really, they ain't even giving it.
Look at what you did.
They gonna make sure your bills paid because they gonna get that money to the bank. Because they trying to make you feel good, but they gotta pay the bank because they know if they give it to you, you ain't gonna put it in the bank. So they gonna give it to you and say, "We gonna give it to you. We gonna send this on your behalf." So, I'm Adrian, middle class, y'all better wake up and smell something. They is playing with us.
Philadelphia is not playing tonight.
That's part of it. That is part of it.
People be saying to you. People be saying stuff to you and just be like, "Oh, it don't stink. It don't really stink. Don't worry about it, baby. It don't stink. Just put it on your neck. Put it on your neck. It's cute. That's cute, girl. Go and wear that. Go and wear that. That's cute. That's cute. You go in front of me, though."
Hey, look. We're gonna balance this out because we know Saa'dia is the balancer. So go ahead, Saa'dia. What do you gotta say?
Okay, so Jerome, I have no idea why you even said that to get Adrian started. So they're actually giving the monies to the states because there is a fund. The fund has been around forever. Homeowners Assistance Fund. Obama had one similar. When we had our depression, you could go in and get your mortgage interest rate lowered and get some of your payments paid. I took advantage of it myself.
You're part of the 1%, though. That don't count.
Amen. As a part of that. However, what we're going to do is push this money through the states and push it through some of the government-sponsored mortgage giants to get it through the HUD programs. They already have the rent assistance program. I know several people who have gotten 6 months worth of rent paid. If you're behind in your rent, you can get approved. You just have to put all the paperwork in, and I've helped people do that. But keep in mind that money is for people who are falling behind in their mortgage. And one thing that, I hate to say it this way, but Democrats understand that you spin your way out of a recession. So this is what he's setting up. And most people don't realize it. Obama did it. Now it's time in the cycle for it to happen again.
Let me tell you something. Okay, this is where I'm at on this issue. Now, look, this is the People's Congress, so we balance out our Congress people are balanced here. It ain't one-sided. Saa'dia is a financial person, so you can trust what she's saying. She's saying real stuff. but I don't like it. Even
No.
if it is real, I don't like it. Because if you're going to tell me you're going to send that much money down to the people, I don't know people that's getting that money. I mean, she might know people that's getting money because she's a financial person. But we ain't financial people on this call. We are regular people on this phone call. We the middle class that don't know nothing about finances. Now tell me something. If that much money is coming down, and if in the past trillions was supposed to come down to the people, why the people on the Mexican ain't getting that money? Oh, because we're going to put it in this program, and we're going to give it to this organization, and if you go to them, you can get it from them. No, give it to the people.
No.
Stop putting to do programs that people can't even get to, and they don't even know they got the money.
I have 2 questions.
Yes, ma'am.
So if
Wait a minute, we got 2 questions. Let her answer the question. Thank you. Go ahead, Kelly.
Okay, so I don't own a home. I know, well, my mom does, but
Not yet.
She in New York.
Yes, not yet. Sorry, a little slower. My first question is, this program would be for, is it like income based? Like who gets it? And then also 2, where is this money coming from? Like, won't this affect us down the line? Like, nothing is over free to the government. So I know one way or another, taxed, something's coming. I mean, something's coming down the pipe. I don't just believe we can just be forthcoming with money.
Okay.
I mean,
Kelly, what you're saying is so powerful. So
is it me?
let's do this. Everybody mute out. We're going to take a mute session right now, everybody. Let's do a mute. All right. And so we're going to let Saa'dia talk. Saa'dia, say something. You go ahead.
Hey, yeah. So I love this conversation we're having.
So that's not Saa'dia. So go ahead, Kelly.
Okay, so I don't hear anymore. So yes,
I think somebody has 2 devices in the room with somebody that has a camera. That's what we're hearing.
StreamYard just does this periodically, honestly.
Well, you know what? I don't like it.
It's all right.
I'm going to do this. Watch this. Watch this, middle class. Watch what happens. Y'all going to trip. Boom. How about that? Boom. Boom. All of y'all. Boom. Out of there. Boom. You're out of there. Boom. Now this is my show. There ain't no echo. Here we go. Let me finish carrying on the conversation. We're going to bring them in one at a time, and we're going to see how it works out. Look, are you up here eating popcorn like?
A heck of a show, Mo.
All right. We got a full house.
Marquis
is back eating popcorn like he's watching a movie. I don't know why.
There's still an echo.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Well, I guess I'm just going to talk to you. Well,
no, you just gotta speak. You gotta speak.
I don't hear it.
Like leave it a rhythm to get
right. Okay.
Hey, people, we're dealing with this technology, and it is false. Marquis, for real, bro. Is this a good movie?
That's why it's doing it, because we sitting here talking about technology.
Oh.
We were not on the upper.
Well, Telly had a good point. Telly was saying she didn't understand. Go ahead, Telly.
Yeah, so like the first question was, is this income based? So is it certain income that you make, or maybe your however much your loan or mortgage loan value is? So I don't understand the numbers with that. And then the second question is, who's going to pay for this? Because one thing I know about it is the government does not give everything for free. It's coming from somewhere. It may not affect us right now, but later on, for all I know, milk might be $5. And at that point, I mean, I feel like we would be tipping into socialism, but I won't get started on that.
Yeah.
I just want to know where is this money coming from? Because we know that the government, and anyone that tells us they'll give us something for free, I look at you sideways, because I know you're not giving it free. It's always like, I'm giving you something, but there's a hand behind your back.
Yeah,
so
I can tell you where the money's coming from. The money's coming from the reparations. They should have paid us by now.
Oh,
that's where it's coming from. All right, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead to Saa'dia. Saa'dia, what do you think? What's your thoughts?
So your question about how do you qualify? So yes, even with the rental program and the housing program, you have to be a certain number of months behind. You have to be working. You have to have money coming in. They look at the ratio to say, do you have an ability to pay and you're just telling us you can't pay? Because, you know, there are a lot of upper class that will take advantage of that. And so they put you through a test. They want to see your income. They ask for bank statements. They ask for all of this. And so they'll give it to those that qualify, okay? And so the same thing with the rent program. Now, where the money is coming from. So in order to, we're in a recession that people don't realize we're there. But in order to get us out, you have to spend your way out. And so what happens is by spending money, you make money. So they're putting money in the market that's not there because nobody was working. A lot of people were unemployed. There was a lot of, unemployment going around, federal assistance, state assistance. And by coming up with this infrastructure, transportation infrastructure plan that Biden is putting out, it's going to create jobs, create all of the benefits. And one thing you have to realize is very cyclical, but the Democrats always leave us with less debt than we had when they started office. So you have to keep in mind that's because they say spend money to make money. Republican says pull back socialism, hold it to us. And so we need one to balance the other. That's the good thing. You don't want, and that's the reason we're limited to 8 years. You don't want 12 years of the same system because then you're going to run into a cycle we've never hit before.
All right. Well, this is what I want to do. Let's take a look at the total revenue generated in America, total income for everybody, and divide it evenly between everybody like that man did in the first report. So we all get paid the same amount of money. Let's do that. I would vote for that. Let's do that.
No, then they found a way to steal it because nobody wants to be like everyone else. People human nature is to do better than others.
Then we're going to kick them off the island then.
Kick them off the island.
Right. So that's where our problem lies. That's where our problem lies. Because if we are allowed to be able to become people and we can all take ourselves and not take the levels off of us and put us all on one page, then it makes sense. But like you said, Saa'dia, there's going to be 3 people that don't even want to give it up because they believe that this is better or they believe that this. And because we have so many choices to just do what we want to do, it just messes up the fact that we need to do something for what we need to do, because that one person that has it to do, it's almost like what we were talking about this morning with that one man in that city when the Holy Spirit happened. So everybody was giving everything, but then he came up with half of what he was supposed to, and it was like, no, bro, we all know your story, and you only bought us half. So if we all put it in, let us all get in.
So context is we had a meeting this morning as a part of ATS where we get this kind of information to be empowered. And on that call at 9 a.m., by the way, it came out the story about Ananias and Sapphira out of the Bible. And that's what she's talking about, it not giving properly. But I want to jump to Tanya. Tanya, we're looking at housing and the FOMO is fueling home buying surge. What's happening with that? Is it a good thing or is it a curse?
You're muted.
Oh, you're muted. Mm-hmm. Let me see where that button is, baby. Let me see.
Oh, you're so funny. It depends on, how the home buyers that are looking to buy a new home, the steps that they go through to do that. Since we're in the situation that we're in now, a lot of people are rushing to buy homes due to the fact that, there's low interest rates. We're in the middle of COVID and different stuff. So the interest rates are low and the market is low. So people are rushing to buy homes. In the turn of that, people are skipping steps. They're rushing so fast that they're skipping some important steps, which is make sure you get your home inspected thoroughly by a home inspector. Because, you could there's certain things that you have to check for when you're purchasing a home to make sure there's not mold and everything is, you'll be able to live in it. So Mr. Hogan, who is a financial expert, had gave a couple of 3 steps of what to do, which kind of goes with the other article that we had talked about earlier. When you're looking for a home, first thing to do is make sure you don't have a lot of debt. Them credit cards, make sure you pay them off, get them down. Car loans, it said student loans. When I thought about that, I'm like, well, dang, that's being that well, some of the people are not working and some stuff like that. But, to keep your debt down, make sure you don't have a lot of debt before you buy your home, as well as make sure you have an emergency buildup in case something goes wrong. 3 to 6 months of emergency funds put up in case, something happens and you don't have, out of work or something, that you can use those funds to, you can continue to live. And also, he said, if you can put a bigger down payment down, instead of the 10%, try to do 20%. That way you'll have some equity and some money to play with while you are in the midst of purchasing your home. But he said, please be careful about buying the home so quickly and not thoroughly going through all the steps of purchasing a home. So we don't run into this later. Because I remember back, I think it was like 2008 or something. I believe, make sure it's a fixed rate, because I know my friend had bought a home, but it was not a fixed rate. So when she first got it, she had a certain amount for her mortgage, but then the interest rate fluctuated. So her payment went from $1,500 a month to $2,500 a month. So if you don't budget that in, then you can end up losing your home in the long run. So, he was saying, make sure it's a fixed rate and those kind of things. So,
okay.
It's just interesting, because one day soon, me and my husband's looking to buy a home. So, it's just good information to read.
It is good information.
What the Congress thought about that.
Let me tell you something before we get into facts, because I ain't dealing with that. I'm a little upset right now. No, I'm a little perturbed.
Tell us why you're mad, Steve.
Let me tell you why
you're mad.
Because everything that Tanya said, when she was saying it made me think like we didn't just come through a freaking pandemic.
Right.
Like people, like this is normal life right now. Like people got money in the bank. Like people actually got jobs right now. Like how you gonna bring out news that act like people can put 20% down on a house? People trying to put food on their table.
No.
You got to put money in the bank and say, man, you know what? This is the type of stuff right here. These are moments where the people who made money during the pandemic say, well, I'm doing fine. What's wrong with you guys? Look, there's people hurting right now. They're losing their homes. Okay? So you're up here talking about you got to pay, you got to save money and refinance it. That sounds real nice. How about why didn't you give the money, government, to the people when they needed it so they wouldn't be in the position they're in now? See, the middle class is being affected on both ends. And it's like they're putting the squeeze from both sides on the people. But you got a group of people acting like nothing's happening. Like it's all good. There's programs to help you. You can apply for money. People have tried to get their businesses to stay in business and have gone out of business. And people who got money, millionaires, are getting the money sent to them. Why? Because they got lawyers, they got finance people who can get that money for them. So, I ain't even playing with y'all. I'm telling you, I'm about to shut this down. I'm not going to have a show where we're telling the middle class that it's their fault that they don't have what they need right now. I'm upset. Go ahead, Saa'dia. I know you want something to move.
Okay, so, Stephen definitely hit on some good points for us. Dealing with the reality, but there's also another reality, a dual reality where people there were some people who were knocked down and were able to get up and buy their home, like me. Okay. There are some people who—
You're lucky your family.
I know, right?
Yeah, because I had something to say.
I got a testimony. I do.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, don't get me to share that testimony. Bank says you need a job. Your business is not going to be enough. Okay, went out and got a job the same day. Okay, so I have a testimony.
All All right, so for real though, let's stop for a second because you said something right there. And that's what we got to help the middle class see. And that's why I'm a little upset because if you don't know what you don't know, right? So Mrs. Douglas wanted to get a home right up in the middle of this pandemic. And they told her that she didn't qualify because she didn't have a job. So she said, okay, that's what I need. She went out and got a job the same day to qualify, right? So she's learning to work within the system. And this is the type of stuff we need to share with the middle class. It's not over when they say no. You got to figure out why they say no and try to fix that because you should be able to qualify. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when life handed me lemons, I made lemonade. I went full time in my business. I've had my business for over 20 years. I believe in having multiple streams of income. If something happens on one, ramp the other one up. That's what I believe in. So I went full time in my business, but because my taxes didn't show the amount of income over the last 3 years of tax returns, it showed, 6 figures in my regular job, but certainly not in my business, right? Because it was part-time. They wanted to see 6 figures in my business for me to qualify for the home. I said, oh, no problem. I'll just get a job. I went the same day and got another 6-figure job. I said, okay, that's done. The man thought I was crazy. I said, oh, is that what I need? No worries. I've got it. I'll get one today. He was like, oh, okay. I called him back. Oh, I have a job. Do you want the offer sent to you? So I did that.
All right, stop right there. Stop right there. Because see, that right there is critically important. That fact. How did you qualify to make a phone call? I mean, in one day to get a job. I know the Lord is working. I know He's good and He's faithful. But what caused you to be able to qualify for that job like that?
I thought for a moment and said, I'll just become a fractional CFO, which is a CFO who goes in to do a certain job for a certain period of time. So I knew it was not a full-time job. It would last 3 to 6 months. And so all that mattered was that I had the job while they were going through the process.
So where did you find the job?
Ring! Made a couple calls.
Oh, so you already had some kind of people you knew were hiring.
Network.
You just
Networked?
I made a couple calls. It dropped in my lap.
Networking?
Boom.
Okay.
All right. Well, when I was saying middle class, Saa'dia got lucky, y'all. That ain't how y'all need to do.
Oh, it was blessing.
It
was blessings.
Y'all better be ready. You got to be ready. You got to be prepared. Somebody comes in and you say you want this, and they say you can't have this because you don't have this. You have to already in your mind know that this is what I want. So therefore, no one can tell me no. So you told me I need to go get this. So now you go and you go get this. If you don't have the means to go get it that day, then you make your mind up to go get it because that's what you need to do.
Think of getting it a different way.
Right.
Think of getting it a different way.
No, don't mean that you're supposed to say no, take your ball and go home and be having attitude. They wouldn't give me that because I'm this, that, and the other thing. No, they didn't say any of that. They just said you needed to go get something else to get what you needed. So go get what you need and do it. Because all of that works out. I'm trying to figure out what are we going to do about the people that didn't get affected by the pandemic, but called everybody every month and ain't paid the bill since. What are we going to do?
Well, wait a second. That's a different conversation. So let's finish up with why there were some people who qualify for these homes.
Yeah.
They're taking advantage of the people who, one, are losing homes, but we were starting to go into a builder's market. So it was a owner's environment. And so there were all these places that were recovering from the recession and starting to build. It just so happened that people had money and they decided, you know what, interest rates are low. Let me sell my home and buy a new home now. So what you're seeing is a transferring. Okay,
so they're the same people that playing with the money. And
but those are the same people who didn't lose their job. They might have went remote.
No,
Oh,
Okay.
now
that's what
I
I'm
see what
saying. So
happened.
those are
Now
the
I see
people.
what happened. You mean to
So
tell
they're
me
just
that they
taking
were
advantage of the situation. The people that are smart enough are
Absolutely.
taking advantage of the situation. The
right?
people
Those
that
who were
don't have
financially more
jobs, they're
secure
losing
were
their
able to
jobs.
take advantage of it, and those who were already struggling, they just got to a place where they didn't even pay attention to it because they couldn't qualify for it anyway. So none of
Right.
that even applies to them. So,
Right.
so
But at
that's
the end of the day, they're the ones that need the help. So when
No, but there are two different
Biden is giving the
realities,
money,
Adrian.
huh?
Adrian, there's two different realities in the middle class. You
okay.
have the lower middle class, the upper middle class, and the middle class. So
Where
you're
is that
talking
coming from?
Well, we know that
Who's
50,000
giving it?
versus 500,000. That's what
Right.
you're talking
That's what we're talking about. There are lines, between 50 to 100. So between 5 figures to 6 figures, you're in the lower middle class. So when you get to the middle of the middle class, oh yeah, these
the
are
middle
real
and
numbers.
the upper part of the middle class, you get more information and you have more leverage to do more things because you're almost at the 1%. So you get a little bit more, help to do things. And the ones that below, and this is how we feel on the People's Congress, is that we have to protect the middle lower class just as much as we protect the middle upper class. And so that's what Adrian's saying. Like, look, we need to protect all of our people. And if that's for them, then what's for the other group? What's for the middle lower class to help those people out? And that's something that we really got to get into because they're the forgotten right now. I mean, they're the ones that are really hurting right now and trying to figure out how they had paid their mortgage in 5 months, right? They're squatting in their rent, they're renting, and they stop paying because there's renter assistance. I was looking at a thing today for first-time home buyers. There are programs to help people who landlords who haven't gotten their payments yet, right? So there are some stuff out there to help people in this process, but we just got to educate them and let them know where they can get help. And that's all I'm saying.
And also, Stephen, if I may, if you are a veteran, if you are, and you have not used your ability to purchase a home, did you all know that you don't even have to pay private mortgage insurance, which is one of the things that were in that when they talked about buying a home. Tanya, I think you did the article where you put 10 down, maybe 20. If you don't have to pay private mortgage insurance, that makes your mortgage more affordable. So you go through your Navy Federal Credit Union, you go through your military credit union using your military benefits. Just because you serve 2 years, 4 years, what have you. So there are things available. And one of the things that I really want to impress upon us too is to keep in mind that we had people that didn't have money. There were people who didn't have food. And there were a host of us who lost people. So that created lots of mental health issues. So just because that person may not be able to pay I might be able to pay my rent, but I might be a person who was devastated by losing a parent, which caused another set of circumstances. So we have a lot of different issues in our middle class right now.
Oh yeah, and we're not even. That's a whole different subject. Mental health.
I'm about to say because people don't care about that.
All addiction, you got domestic violence, you got all kind of stuff. But my point is that we're talking about money right now. We're talking about money, right? We're not talking about any other issue but money and how do we get the money to the people who need it the most. That's all we're talking about. So what I'm going to do is we're going to move on to Marquis. Brother, stop eating popcorn like you watching a movie, brother, and jumping here.
No,
I think it's movie night at his house.
No,
because I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about weed. Is what I want to talk to you about. But I know you got a comment. Go ahead.
Why do you think I have the munchies, bruh?
Well, so how's the weed gonna play out across America? Because I know that's an article that you wanted to talk about.
Well, here's the skinny of it. It is a gradual burn, if you will, because back in the day, everything is illegal, but over time it gains momentum. Over time, like, if anybody listened to Snoop was a proponent of smoking it. Cheech and Chong, I mean, they're a proponent of smoking it. And so when you have that kind of a push, then that goes into the hearts and minds of the populace, and it just gains momentum. And the more people do it, the higher it goes in politics. And when it gets to a certain level, when it gets to a certain demographic, oh, now we can pay attention to it. Now we can, instead of locking folks up, now we can tax it, because now everybody's doing it, not just those people over there. So that's what has happened over the last 20 years. And the other thing too is they actually compared this to same-sex marriage. It was kind of the same situation
in the article.
In the article, yeah, this is not just Marquis blowing smoke.
Okay, good. Okay.
So, but they compared it to same-sex marriage, of how in not too distant past you had a slow rollout, a slow burn, and you had a gradual momentum, and it just built up, and it got into politics. It got into politics, and then people started to speak it, and it started to ease everybody's mind, and bam, here you go, everything's legal.
Started to be business.
It's called palpability, right? They made it more palpable. It's almost like desensitization. The more you see a thing, the more you realize that that's kind of the way things are, and you start accepting it instead of fighting it. Before you know it, you ignore it because you saw it so much. It's like comedy. You're like, oh, I already know about that. Then they can just wait and push the agenda. So yeah, it's a slow roll on that. Did you finish on that report?
You know what? I personally, I don't smoke weed. I've been around too much already, so I don't smoke it. But I am concerned though about, well, the benefit of it being legal is that now you have legal places to go get it. So therefore, we should see a lesser accounts. Thank you. A decrease in people dying because they had something, they spiked the weed. A few months ago, actually, a friend of mine, he was going out with his boys. He was an Uber driver, and they didn't bully him, but they did that whole, they peer pressured him to death to go hang out and go smoke some weed. Well, guess what? The weed was tainted. The man almost lost his life. All because he wanted to be down. He wanted to hang out, be with the crew or whatever. This stuff almost killed him. And it was a batch. I don't know what they put in it, but he almost lost his life. But with this coming up, you will have reputable companies, reputable businesses bringing the stuff out. So you'll have a kinder, more safer high.
All right. So, okay, this show is not good for me tonight. I'm just saying to y'all, I just want to tell you, I don't know what happened to me today, but I'm telling you, every story, I have a problem with every story I'm hearing tonight. And I don't know what that's about. I mean, I'm gonna have to go pray. I think what it is, I probably going to just have to go pray. But the problem that I'm having, no, I'm not even gonna say it. So what are the pros and cons of weed rolling out across America, Congress? I'm gonna take it to you, and I'm gonna just take a break.
Well, the pro of it is, if you're looking at money, now you have companies who are actually making it, in mass. It's now legal, so nobody goes to jail. That's a good thing. However, there's a tax base to that, which is wonderful. That's what the government wants to do. They want to tax you to death. Why not let them smoke their brains out so we can take the money?
Stop right there. Stop right there. You see now, right there, boop. I gotta put a little cone in the road because it's under construction. Now. So you mean to tell me that now we're going to legalize marijuana so that the people can be high and more controllable, by the way, and we're going to tax it?
That's not what they're doing.
No, and don't believe that. I don't want you to even believe that, because that is not the truth. No, don't believe that.
What's the truth?
I don't want you to believe that, because that is not the truth. The point of the matter is, though, if, like you said, if you can't beat them, you might as well join them. The same way with the story from earlier. The same way where the government can't do anything with the crypto and everything else. They're going to have to do a way to get inside of it. So the only thing they're not going to tell you to stop, because they've been trying to tell you to stop. They realized that weed is the only thing that has stayed consistent for all of these years. The problem was people used to not want to tell you to smoke weed. They told you that weed was bad. There was everything that was wrong with weed. So there was a bad connotation that went with it. Now,
so wait, hold up. We don't grow weed in America as a crop. It's not a cash crop. Okay, we don't have it running from shore to shore. So the government trying to tell you to stop smoking weed, and how did the weed get in the country? Did we got in the country?
No, we do grow. We do grow. You have a lot of American growers. There's nothing but people that grow weed.
But he's talking about the illegal importing of marijuana.
Yeah, you're not talking about hemp.
You're talking about the illegal. What they're trying to do is they're making it legal. So the things that we keep looking at it like it's a bad thing, the world has not said that it's a bad thing. The only people that think it's bad are the people that used to get high. I'm be honest. I smoke every day.
The people who have evidence that it affects families.
I have to smoke, so I smoke.
Oh no, we're not talking about medicinal. We're not even talking about medicinal weed use.
It's the whole same thing. And what people have to understand is when we have a conversation and then you can put any bad in it, the only bad is a person that is a recovering of something. They're going from what they heard and what they saw.
Let's look at the middle class. Of the middle class, Adrian, how many people do you think in the middle class use marijuana as a medicinal purpose?
Well, let me Google that. I know.
Go ahead, Google it.
Most people that I know, my peers, we smoke.
Yeah, but what percentage? You get 100% of the middle class. Of that middle class, how many of them do you think actually need it for medicinal purposes? And not recreational. Yeah, need it because a lot of people need it for medicinal purposes.
Right. No, need it is probably about maybe 15% of us that are really there.
All right. So I was wondering if we were around the same. I was around the same number. Okay. So yeah. All right. So, but the issue is that it's being legalized across America, and we have a lot of people not knowing the impact that that's going to have on society, because there are already states that have it legalized. And so we already see.
States are doing so well. If you look at the states that have it, Colorado, their crime is even down. Like if you look at what's going on in the states that have allowed marijuana to become okay, they have less crime. The other things that are going on in their states are less. Their money is definitely better because they're getting to be taxed on. The situation is now all of the world is about to be like before. What was it? I think it was like 32. It'd be like 32 to 68, but now it's 68 that are saying yes and 32 that are saying no. So the ties have completely shifted.
All right, so then let's just say they legalize marijuana from shore to shore. They legalize it from shore to shore. Does it mean that they need to now go back and look at everyone that was arrested for marijuana use and let them out of prison now, or do they got to stay?
Nobody has time for all of that. That's the problem. Don't nobody have time for that, because the truth of the matter is, if you're going to do something, you're going to do something. The second you talk about doing it, you're going to do it. Now, if you tell me that you need to get repaid from all of the 8,400 years that we've been in slavery and stuff, now you're just sounding stupid. You're giving somebody a reason to just walk away from it. For real. Because if they can't put a number on it, what they going to do? We need to understand that our liberation is coming within ourselves.
You didn't even come close to answering my question. I said the brother that's in prison for having a joint on him for 10 years, what are they going to do with him? Does he get set free now because it's now legal?
Yes. He gets
set free in jail all that time and didn't do nothing else. If he did something else while he was in jail, unfortunately, that is not going to be a rule that can apply to him. And that is where
so if he only did that, then he gets free.
Right. If that was his only charge,
then yes, he should be able to get out. But the problem is, it probably it doesn't really roll like that. So if it could roll like that and we would be honest about it, then yes, we could do it that way. But truth be told, you can't tell your 14-year-old that he's really going to be able to get back what happened when he was 2. And because of the fact that if we keep telling our children, oh, we deserve this, I'm gonna get my 40 acres and a mule, but now we look silly because we have a generation of kids that want a 40 acres and a mule and don't even know how to go to work. But then they expect that they should have it because of something that was done in the past.
Oh, I understand. You're talking about reparations and all that.
Yeah. But how we stand as American people right now, today in 2021, you might want to say that if the weed is changing the world, the weed is going to change the world. If you want to go get Uncle Tyrone, that's been locked up for a J, if he did nothing but that J, you understand? Then Uncle Tyrone, he gets to come home. But the truth of the matter is,
I found an answer.
Okay, go ahead. What you got?
Okay, so we initially thought maybe 15%. Apparently, almost 1/3 in the middle class have medicinal use of marijuana.
All right, 33%. All right.
Yeah, so it's actually around 35%. And so I think that's higher than what we thought. They do say that predominantly female, 71%, white 81%, and having a high school greater than a high school education, 77% use. If you had insurance coverage, 82%. And they had an annual household income of less than 80,000, 79%. So this is smack dab in the middle class.
Mm-hmm.
And they break it down to say, you know, it's amazing what this study shows with each millennials, Xers, boomers, the age groups, because honestly, the younger you are, the higher the percentage. It's interesting to see that there are boomers, 36.7%, using medicinal medicine. When you think about it, they're ailing. So they are, you know, saying this will ease, you know, certain ailments.
Yeah, and I know we have people in our family like that, so I understand they
exactly.
use
okay. I actually had a question, and I may have asked this before in another show, but in reference to marijuana, back in the day, it had a certain smell to it. Now it is more pungent.
It's
now.
a way stronger type of it's a different type of marijuana. Back in the day, there was just regular weed that they were talking about. Back in the day, like Acapulco Gold and all that kind of stuff. The Cheech and Chong strands. Those are regular budded trees of regular sativa. Now they have a different
synthetic.
It's a higher. It's a way higher THC count. Like, you know, like now I would say the 33%, like 33%, 37%, like those are when
it's 30 times. You were right, 30 times stronger.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it is. And it smells like it is, but it's actually not as, you know how it used to be a lot? You can see a lot. Now it's not a lot. It's just a little. So now it's more so the way that it's weighed up. It's really, really little for a lot. That would have been back in the day for a lot. The problem that we're really running into is that we're not being responsible because people have already made a mind up of what it is to get high or what it is to smoke marijuana. And unfortunately, marijuana is more like the cigarette and the alcohol. You know, when it comes down to something that shouldn't be there, because at one time it was illegal to drink. It was illegal to drink, right?
Oh no, you're right, because cigarettes can kill you, and
just like cigarettes, right? And so it's just a matter of
alcohol tears up your liver. You'll die from that.
And that's what. But most people, like if I have heard people say whatever they wanted to say, but most people on weed don't do all of the like, you know what I mean? If the person just went and shot the house up or whatever, he wasn't smoking weed.
Oh no, it's true. It causes
he wasn't smoking. He had something maybe laced in the weed, but even to the point where, like what Marquis said, maybe back in the day, somebody might have put something in your bud or whatever. But today, there's so many things that people can literally get high off of. It's damn sure not the weed. And now, because they have CBD, all of that calming that they're giving, that's for the world. So that's really the issue. For real. It's not the THC that we should be worried about. It's the CBDs that they're pushing out to you now for everyone, just so that you can be cool and calm and you can have a CBD gum and you can
I'd like to add something.
In the store.
Go ahead. What you got?
I'd like to add that, you know, Adrian was right on that whole 30%. And definitely when you talk about the fact that it's stronger, 30% stronger, but because it's stronger, it is causing problems. Okay. So they're legalizing weed. It's stronger now. It has created something. And I know people with this problem. They have something, it's crazy, but they have a marijuana use disease. It's called a disorder. Okay. So they start having stomach problems and they have a need to take warm showers. It's a medical diagnosis. And what happens is, we're not talking old weed heads. We're talking about these millennials. Okay. Because one joint, I was amazed to hear this. Let me explain this.
They smoking something different.
One, I think there used to be something called a dime bag. Well, one joint now costs $10. One joint costs $10 in Virginia. And
I ain't gonna ask you how you know that, but go ahead.
It's simple, man. It's inflation.
It's tax deductible.
I needed to understand what was going on. If they're going to legalize it in Virginia, I wanted to understand it.
Tax write-off. Tax write-off.
Okay, and so they make them thicker. They're not the thin ones. They make them thicker. They're $10.
Fat blunts.
But they cause problems because so not only are they smoking something that is 30% stronger than it used to be 30 years ago, they're smoking more of it. So their blunts are thicker. They may have 2 or 3 a day. These millennials, I'm telling you what I know.
More.
Well, that's the abuse that Adrian was talking about. Yeah.
And so now they're having, because of the rising, and I'm looking at an article and I'm reading this article, because of the rising, increasing marijuana potency, it is causing them to have marijuana use issues, which has affected the brain, which we all knew it was affecting the brain. But their overuse is also affecting their stomach. It is causing lesions on their stomach. Did I hear Adrian laugh? It's true, Adrian.
It's not even me making the comment, but I'm just listening to you. I'm thinking and I'm hearing you. Listen, like I said, I can only go off of my own. When I had multiple sclerosis, when I was diagnosed, the man asked me what was happening. I stopped smoking marijuana. There was a moment in my life where I thought that I was going to get my life together. And what I did was I cut down on my marijuana use. In the cutting down of my marijuana, I got sick. I didn't know if it was that or not. So I asked the question.
One question. Is it legal in your state?
Yes.
Okay. That's a good
marijuana use is legal in your state?
Medical. Yes.
Okay. I just needed to help a sister out. Okay.
This is what I'm trying to tell you. I live in the dispensary. Yes. And it be packed. And there's lines and lines of people that stand outside waiting to get this. People, women, white, men, old, young, black, white, even children. Because it's awesome to see the kids in there, because when the parents got a certain strand, if there's a certain strand in there, I met a little girl who has seizures. And me and her mom, we talked like the whole time because we were in the line. But she was literally standing. I thought the lady was going to get the weed for herself. She was getting it for her son, for her daughter. And she was so excited because this is the only medicine that really, really helped her daughter not have seizures. And it's wow, those kinds of conversations are why people should be able to understand that, guess what? This is not the same weed that y'all was smoking when y'all was kids on the corner. It's not. Now you have people that are literally growing weed and mixing it for certain things. Like when I was in, I only smoke certain types of weed. Like I don't like weed off the street because you don't know where the weed is coming from off the street.
No quality control, folks.
The dispensary tells you exactly where it came from, who cured it.
And you guys do know that they're putting weed as a part of recipes.
I make butter. I have weed butter. The best thing that I've learned is that I don't have to smoke weed. I can consume it. I make grilled cheeses. I make bagels.
Where you live at?
I live in Philly. I'm in Philly.
I'm gonna come holler at you. I want some of that grilled cheese with the little sprinkle.
You know, you don't even
Listen, I make
Hey, look,
popcorn.
look,
Listen, I put
we,
popcorn together like beautifully.
look.
I make popcorn and put some butter on it because when you was eating it, I was thinking, damn, I got popcorn in the kitchen. That
well,
sounds
this is
good.
a class show about middle class issues, including health issues.
All right, we gave
And look,
250,000 minutes to that conversation. We are going to move on to another something different, if you don't
wait,
mind.
I gotta
Let's
tell
talk
y'all
about
one thing. You gotta you one thing that was very important about that, and I was seeing if Marquis was gonna pick up on it. They said that there was during this last election,
Oh yeah.
when you look at the states, they were people writing in for the prohibition law as opposed to voting for Trump or
Or
Biden.
Biden.
300,000 votes. So
Yep.
there were people that weren't even voting for the presidency. They were just voting to get the prop bill passed.
Yep. That's right.
I said, now that is a
I see what you're
conversation
saying.
all within itself. Right. There are some people that could care less about the
Right.
American people at
Right.
all. They
Right.
just want their green.
Yep.
That's major.
Yep.
And for a state to understand it,
Right.
that's almost like the boss that's paying attention to his coworker, to his people that are listening. Because if the
Yeah.
state is telling you that, they don't care who's gonna be the person that's leading the country.
Nope.
They just want to make sure that they can get high while it's happening.
Don't mess with my guns.
But you know what? I always wanted to know. I always want to know how we got here in the first place.
Started it.
No. I mean overall, because if I'm not mistaken, there was confusion between marijuana and hemp.
It's money, man.
That's actually, I believe that's actually how it all happened. People couldn't tell the difference. They used to use hemp for everything, paper, ropes, and now they have rediscovered hemp. I mean, they're making shirts, they're making everything out of it.
Money.
That's where the money is, right there.
Money in business, bro. That's what it is, guys. It's strictly business, and they don't care about the people in the process. We got to care about them. We got to care about them, but they don't care about them.
Is try to fill out where the fields are. We need to go to empty places where you know that it's legal. You want an empty field. You want to purchase the field. You want to start to be able to put your own marijuana in the ground, because what's going to happen is it's going to become the next new thing. And I didn't realize that until I heard the little church ladies talking about investing in the weed. I thought they were joking, but they were dead serious. Because they were talking about how it's going to be affecting in the next 4 or 5 years. And these are all women, very well off, but they decided that they should maybe put their money together and get involved in it. Because like the women in Philadelphia, the dispensary that I go to, there are 4 women. Shout out to the women, because they're the only ladies in PA that are doing this thing. And when I tell you that every day since the pandemic, they have been open. The church was closed every single day. Every single day. No one can ever tell me anything about smoking weed ever again. Because through this whole entire pandemic, when everything was happening, the only consistent thing that we did have was the weed dispensary. So.
Yeah, I wondered why they kept the ABC stores open too, and I guess that's probably why. But look, let's go ahead and end with the student loan forgiveness. Saa'dia, you have something on that?
Yes. So the president is currently, he talked about the Democrats talked about the student loan forgiveness. And so the president is saying that he still supports it. As far as the backed federal loans, how much is available? They want to find a way to make it more affordable. So if that means that they would forgive some of the federally backed student loans, they would. So he's asking for them to prepare something for him to look at. He's also requested to know how much authority he has and whether or not he's able to forgive any of the federally backed loans. Private loans would still be an issue, but federal student loans, they recognize there's a problem.
Did you say that the president doesn't know how much of an effect he has on what he does? That's what
he wants
said?
to make sure that he has the proper authority, that legally.
But he's the president of the United States, and he's trying to tell us that he doesn't know what kind of power he has to do something.
No, our presidents have they do have limits. They have legal authority. And so because of our last presidency, he certainly isn't going to do something that he doesn't have the right authority to do.
We don't have a king. We don't have no king.
That's another people's cameras.
Wait a minute.
That's a whole nother day.
Wait a minute. What did Kevin? What'd you say?
We do not have a king in the United States of America.
That's right. All right. So that subject, actually, I think we should have briefed at the beginning. We need way more time to talk about what Saa'dia just said. But we do appreciate you beginning that report. Look. All I got to say is I am worn completely out today. The People's Congress is here for you. We get into it. We may not agree. We try to bring out facts. We try to help you see another side, both sides, whatever side. And we talk about the things that affect the middle class. Why? Because it affects us. As you can see in today's show, we're dealing with some real issues. And it's good to have people who have life experience so they can share that with you to help you see what they're going through in the middle class. But we do need to get educated. We need to do our research, and we didn't make informed decisions. So I'm worn out. So we're gonna shut this thing on down. Look, I'm glad that the Congress is here to help you. If you got any questions on anything that we talked about today, please post it. Let us know what your questions are. If you want more insight on the stories that we covered, please just reference the story and the person who was speaking, so we can make sure you get the information that you need. We have. Let me just say there was no intention to hurt anybody's feelings or offend anyone with what the subject matter was today. We just know that these are serious issues that's affecting the middle class, and we're willing to go. We're willing to be vigorous in our discussions to get you an answer to the problems that you're facing. So we hope that you have been helped today, empowered, and inspired, and we look forward to seeing you on the next show. All I gotta say is please come back. We will see you on the next show. Thank you very much.
Please.